Good evening, everyone. This is Robert. RJL Network presents a special presentation of Inside Pitch Advanced. The 1996 demo game is on the air. Hello, everybody. Welcome back here to RJL Network. I hope you guys can hear me pretty well because I'm still trying to get used to this new setup. Can anybody, can make sure, I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. I've been playing around with this setup for a while to make sure it works. So, and I'm looking at the screen to make sure. So can anybody, can everybody hear me okay and all that? Somebody let me know you can hear me and pretty clearly. Excellent. That's what I want to hear. Welcome back, everyone. This is the 1996 demo game for Inside Pitch Advanced. This is pretty much this video is Inside Pitch Advanced. We play a very slow and steady game of Inside Pitch Advanced. This is also a game where you guys can go ahead and answer questions and ask questions to me, and I'll answer them as best as I possibly can. Okay? I can answer questions about mechanics. I cannot answer questions about ratings. But so this is so that's pretty. If you have any questions about ratings, okay. If you have any questions about ratings, that's a question you ask. That's a question you happen to ask Chris Davis, who is the creator of this game. This stream pretty much opens up the 1996 replay. Of course, the opening day will not be until July 6th, which is next Monday night, and that's when we will actually start the season. But here in the demo game, I'll go ahead and go through all the motions slow and steady. And I'm glad to have everybody here for this demo game. I know a lot of people know that when I start a demo game, when I do the demo game, they know another season is around the corner. So my off season is winding down. It's time to start screaming and yelling one more time. Ben Witz, Ron Jobs, Jeremy Brooks, Philip Reynolds, and Anash Gupta are first to join us here at this demo game. 1996, the Atlanta Braves played the New York Yankees in the World Series, and that is going to be the two teams we will play tonight. Since the Yankees did win the World Series in 96, they are the home team. So we are at Yankee Stadium for 1996. And as you can see here is the cards. But of course, unfortunately, there's a lot of glare. So maybe I can turn it down a bit. But there you see we're at Yankee Stadium. And we are set and ready. We are ready to go. The lovely Barbara joins us as well here for the demo game. And she is lovely, by the way. I have brought back the dice tower. The only problem with bringing it back is now my hand's going to go right into it. So now you're going to see me literally pick up the dice and roll it. As I said, this setup is not 100% perfect as I'd like. But I think we'll be able to go ahead and see what happens. Yeah, there is maybe a little too much light bouncing off. As I said, because the problem is I really don't have very good lamps for this setup. It worked a lot better when I had it on my desk. But, you know, we'll, let me see here. Maybe we can, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. We'll play with it. We'll play with it as it is for now. I still have another week to set everything up. Okay? So, this is the demo game. The Atlanta Braves will play the New York Yankees today. And we're going to have Greg Maddux pitching against Andy Pettitte. The one thing about playing this now with this new setup, because of the new PC I bought, I now have to look to my right in order to see the screen to read the chat. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but so forgive me if I don't get to questions in the chat fast enough. So, I'm glad everybody is here for this stream, and we're set and ready to go to play the 1996 demo game between the Atlanta Braves and the New York Yankees. So first of all, how is inside pitch played? You of course take the dice, and we're going to use blue, white, and white dice, of course, since the Yankees are the home team. We are at Yankee Stadium. I'm not going to do a full, what I call full vocal presentation. As you guys know, I always do a big vocal presentation. Okay, but this is more of a teaching game in a way than it is the actual announcements that I usually go. Of course, during my regular season, I'm not really here to teach. I'm here to roll and play, and that's pretty much about it. Okay, so you guys will have to, but here in this demo game, you have a chance to ask questions. We're at Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium, pretty much in 1996, believe it or not, Yankee Stadium was actually pretty much a pitcher's park for right-handed batters. It was a pitcher's park. Lefties have a better chance of hitting a home run. -1 to strikeouts, -1 to walks. There is a chance to rob home runs here in 1996 for Yankee Stadium, and we will see what happens tonight. So I have my scorebook over here now to my right, as I had it to the other way, had it to my left, we'll see what happens tonight. Craig Scarborough now joins us here at Yankee Stadium for this demo game. So I hope everyone will enjoy it, and I hope everything goes right with this setup. As I said, it's not 100% set the way I want it, but for tonight it will. For tonight it will have to do. So let's take a look at the starting pitcher for the Yankees. It is Andy Pettitte, and Andy Pettitte is getting the call tonight. I hope the cards are coming through clearly. I should be broadcasting in 4K. So you should be getting, if the light may be a little bright, but you should be getting a good look at the cards. They should be pretty clear, especially if you go to if you're on YouTube and you're going to a high resolution. But if everyone just making sure everyone can see, all right. And we're set to go. So Andy Pettitte, and as I said, this is a teaching game. I'm not going to go through all the averages and stuff like I usually do. So, hopefully we'll have a good time tonight and we'll learn the game. So Andy Pettitte will be pitching for the 1996 New York Yankees. And let's go to the top of the first. Leading off for the Braves is going to be center fielder Marquise Grissom. I always felt he was definitely a solid player. So Marquise Grissom will be leading off for the Braves. Again, using blue, white, and white dice. Yankees are the home team for this exhibition. This is an exhibition game. However, I'm going to try to use the strategy die maybe a little bit more than I normally would. And unfortunately, I can tell there's going to be some shaking, as of course my desk didn't shake when I played on it, but it looks like there's going to be some shaking here. And I don't know if it's because of my fan. Maybe it's blowing on the camera. Let me see here. If I turn the fan a little bit to the side, maybe the camera, let's see. Well, we'll see what happens. I turned the fan down. So let's see if we can get this done, guys. Let's go. Let's start this demo game, shall we? So the first roll comes off the pitcher card, and if necessary, the second roll comes off the batter card. So let's go here. Let's see what happens. So the first roll is a 1-7, and a 1-7 on Andy Pettitte's card, okay, actually comes to a split chance. So against a right-handed batter, it would be a blank. Against the left-handed batter, it says you see this S0 here, this S number sign, and that means it's an automatic hit. So this is an automatic. And Marquise Grissom, however, is a righty. So that's going to be a blank. So that means we go to Marquise Grissom's card, and we'll go ahead and we will roll again. And now it comes up as a 6-6, and I always use the dark die for the top, and the white die for down the side. That is a 6-6, and we'll go down Marquise Grissom's card. And a 6-6 on his card is a G5. So a G5 is just he just hits a little ground ball to third, and that is going to get picked up by Wade Boggs, and he will throw to first and get the out. So I hope you guys can see that and such. Walmart was out of Fanta Zero, so he had to settle for Crush Zero. I am so sorry. Crush is better. Actually, I like Fanta. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I like Fanta. So 1 out. And now we'll go to the second baseman, Mark Lemke. These batting orders were created by me with a little help from Baseball Reference, like I usually do for the postseason. So Andy Pettitte will make a pitch, and that is a 7-3. And a 7-3 on his card is a K. That's a possible strikeout. Now we check. Now Lemke, against left-handed pitching, his strikeout rating is a 4. Then you go to the ballpark card and see a -1. So it's a little bit difficult to get strikeouts here. A little bit less difficult to get here at Yankee Stadium. So it's a -1. So that would be a 3. So a 3 or less on the D20, it would be a strikeout. That is a 4. So because the ballpark is a -1, that would have been a strikeout if Yankee Stadium if that was a 0. But because that's a -1, it makes Lemke a 3 against left-handed pitching. That is not a strikeout. So because of that, because of the ballpark, Lemke gets a chance to swing. And he comes up with a 2-4, and a 2-4 on Lemke's card is a G1. And that is a ground ball right back to the comebacker, right back to Andy Pettitte. He will pick it up, throws to first for out number 2. And that will bring up this guy. He is at third base, and that, of course, is Chipper Jones. To me, he is the second best Brave in franchise history. The only guy above Chipper is some bum named Hank. So, Andy Pettitte will go ahead and make a pitch. And we'll see here. And that is an 8-2. An 8-2 on Pettitte's card is a W. That is a possible walk. So now we check Chipper against lefties, and his walk rating is a 13. Yankee Stadium subtracts 1 from that, so that is a -1, which will make him a 12 in order to walk. That's a 16. It is too high, so that means Chipper, so Pettitte does not walk Chipper. He will go ahead and he will swing. And that is an 8-6, and an 8-6 on Chipper's card, he laces a D8. A D8 is a straight-up double to center field. So Chipper goes right to second base, and he gets a double to continue the inning. So Chipper will get a double since Pettitte did not walk him, and that will continue the inning, and that will bring up the first baseman, the crime dog, Fred McGriff, Hall of Famer. I do think so. So McGriff will go ahead and he will bat against Pettitte. Now Chipper is on second base. This is where we roll the strategy roll to see if Chipper would maybe think of stealing or maybe a hit and run. Now, of course, with 2 outs, we don't do hit and runs usually, and you don't do bunts, okay? You could steal, but in order for Chipper Jones to steal, you have to go ahead and take the attempt rating of the runner, okay? And in order to steal third, you have to divide that by 4. So I usually roll it anyway as a matter of habit, even though Chipper's not going to do anything. That's a 20, and there's nothing on Fred McGriff's card for hit and run or sacrifice. So nothing's going to happen. So Chipper will stay at second base, and Pettitte will pitch. Pettitte rolls a 3-5, and a 3-5 comes up as a wild. This is a possible wild pitch. You go over to this section of the card for Andy Pettitte, and here it says WP, which is wild pitch 1-6, or PB question mark 7-17, which means this is a possible passed ball. We look at a 2 on the D20, and that does fall into the wild pitch category, and that is going to be a wild pitch. So Andy Pettitte throws one over Joe Girardi's head, and Jones will go to third automatically. Cutter Historical and Double D join us here at Yankee Stadium. Now, the rule states that if a wild pitch or pass ball occurs either way, all right, you then roll on the batter card. You go straight to the batter card to see what happens. I actually have a house rule for that, and I let Chris Davis know that I think that if a wild pitch or a pass ball occurs, and if there is a change on the base pads, I re-roll the at bat, because that does allow for multiple wild pitches at a time, which can occur. So I'll re-roll the strategy roll again anyway, although nothing's going to happen. So now Pettit will go ahead and roll again. So Pettit rolls a 4-8. And once again, that's a W, which comes up as a walk. McGriff against a lefty is a 9. -1 for the ballpark makes it an 8. That's a 6. And McGriff will go ahead and draw the walk. So Pettit gets 2 quick outs, and now he gives up a double. And now he gives up a walk. And that will allow left fielder Ryan Klesko to go ahead and bat. So now runners at first and third. Still 2 outs here in the top of the first in this demo game. I'll re-roll the strat. And again, I'll re-roll strat for a possible maybe that the runner on first may steal. That's a 17. He's not going anywhere, and Klesko has nothing here in hit and run or sacrifice hit. So we'll go ahead and roll the at-bat. Andy Pettit rolls a 1-5. Now that is a PO and then an @ sign. That is a possible pickoff, okay? And then you go to the ballpark card. Now, again, if something happens on the bases, like if a pickoff does occur, I re-roll. So we now check Andy Pettit's pickoff rating. His pickoff rating is right here. PO1 is a 1 to 10, which means on a 1 to 10 on the D20, he will go ahead and pick off Fred McGriff on at first. PO2, however, is empty, which means he has no chance of picking off anybody on second. Now POE, now 11 to 12 is a POE, which means pickoff error. So if the D20 falls into this, it's a 1 base error. Then there's a 13, which means with BK, which means balk, which means that's a chance for him to go ahead and balk. We'll check the D20, and that is a 20 right there. So nothing of this happens, so there's no pickoff. But now we go to the ballpark card. So now we go to Yankee Stadium, and we roll there. Yankee Stadium comes up as a 4-5, and a 4-5 says G4, which is thus Ryan Klesko grounds 1 to second base. That'll be handled by Mariano Duncan. He will pick it up, and he is going to throw to shortstop. Since McGriff is slower than Klesko, I kind of take whoever the slower runner is where he throws. So he's going to throw to shortstop, covering second base to force out McGriff, and that will do it. So no runs and a hit. There was a wild pitch and a walk, and that will retire the side. And we'll go to the bottom of the first. Hope everybody is able to see everything and all that and such. I hope everybody is settled into your seats, and hope you'll enjoy this demo game. We go to the bottom of the first. Starting pitcher for the Atlanta Braves is, of course, one of the greatest of all time, and that is Greg Maddux. He will go ahead and get the start. Greg Maddux said he could get everybody out, except for that bleeping Tony Gwynn. Pretty much all the Braves pitchers had a kryptonite named Tony Gwynn. I'm pretty sure everyone that everyone will say that Tony Gwynn was one of the greatest hitters of all time. To me, he was the greatest hitter I ever saw. Greg Maddux hated Tony Gwynn, and Tony Gwynn, he could not strike him out really to save his life. So Greg Maddux gets the call on the mound for the Braves in the bottom of the first. Wade Boggs at third base will lead off for the New York Yankees. He was 38 years old in 1996, Wade Boggs. So we'll see what happens here as Greg Maddux will pitch. So again, the first roll goes to the pitcher card. And that is a 6-5. And a 6-5 is a K, comes up a K, which means a possible strikeout. Against a righty, Boggs is a 3. -1 from the ballpark makes him a 2. That is a 10. That's a too high, so Boggs gets the swing. Boggs did not strike out much in 1996, obviously, since his strikeout rating is better. Oh no, I'm not knocking Ted Williams, Ash Gupta. I didn't get to see Ted Williams play. He played during a different time. To me, Tony Gwynn was the best hitter I ever saw. That's why I say that. I didn't get to see Ted Williams bat. All right, but to me, Tony Gwynn was the best hitter I ever saw. He could put the ball wherever he wanted. To me, you know. So let's see what we got here. So Maddox did not strike out Boggs. So Boggs gets the swing, and that is a 3-3. A 3-3 on Boggs' card is an S5. That is a single past third, just like that, and Boggs will go to first. So Boggs goes ahead, and he will get a base hit, and that will bring up the center fielder, Bernie Williams. Some people think Bernie Williams belongs in the Hall of Fame. You can make an argument for him. He was excellent. If anything, I definitely put Bernie Williams in the Hall of the Very Good. I have no problem with anyone saying that. Now Wade Boggs is at first. We do get to roll the strategy roll, and he's really not a stealing threat. So let's roll with a strat. That comes up as a 19. Nothing happening on Bernie Williams' card, and Wade Boggs is not doing anything. Boggs really only had one stolen base in '96, probably a failed hit and run, which is the reason why he has an H. So nothing happening. So Maddox will go ahead and make the pitch. And that is a 7-7. A 7-7 on Maddox's card is a blank, which means nothing happens off of Maddox. We go straight to the ballpark card. Bernie Williams will swing. It's a 6-5. And that is an L4. There is this kind of like upside down triangle. Now an L4 is a line out. The upside down triangle, which I'll try to bring a little, dang it, too bright, but a little closer here. The upside down triangle means that if the infield was in, that would be a base hit. The infield, of course, is at double play def, obviously. The infield would not be in with a runner on first. And so that would be a base hit, but it's an L4. Now an L4 means this is a line out right to second. There is a possible line out double play. So we'll go ahead and bring out the chart. I have the chart here, which unfortunately the light is so bright it's going to kind of stink. But here's the chart here for lineouts. It's a line out to second. Wade Boggs is at first. You cross-reference where the ball was hit to, which is second base, and which base is on, which is a 1-6. So if the D20 is a 1-6, that would be a line out to second and a throw to first. That is a 9 on the D20, which means, let me bring this closer to me so even I can see it. So I got the chart here. Okay, that is a line out to second base. But Wade Boggs, but a 1-6 would have been a double play, but it's a 9. He gets back, so that's just a line out to second, and Boggs is safe, goes back to first. Next batter will be the right fielder, Paul O'Neill, and he is also pretty much I always felt Paul O'Neill. I put Paul O'Neill in the Hall of the Very Good as well. We roll the D20, see if anything happening. The 4 says no. So we'll go to Greg Maddux. Maddux, a 7-7. 7-7 on Greg's Maddux card is a blank. Nothing happening. We go to O'Neill's card. O'Neill is an 8-7, and an 8-7 is a G3. Now, there's a ground ball to first. It is a possible double play. Now, I can already tell it's not going to be one, but we got to go through the motions. So you go a G3. This ball is a ground ball to first. Now we go ahead and check the ground ball or double play chart, which is the double play modification chart, which is right here. Okay, what you do is you take the D20, you take that number, and it's a 2. We then go ahead and check. We do a double play. We do where the ball was hit to is at first, and the ball is hit to first base. So we subtract 2. Which would make that a 0, but you cannot go any lower than 1. So 1 is as low as you can go. Then we go ahead and check the pitcher modification for ground ball double play. And Maddox does not modify that number, so it stays a 1. Now we check. So now we go ahead and check the batter card. The batter card for ground ball double play is a 10 plus. Well, if this was a 10 or higher, that would be a double play. But it is a 1. Now we check the base running rating of the runner on first. Wade Boggs' base running rating is a 3, which is higher than the 1, or the 0 if you wish. Because the base running rating of the runner on first is higher than the D20 roll, that is going to he will go ahead and make second base, and the batter will be out. So Boggs will go ahead. He'll make second base as a ground ball to first. The only play that McGriff could make was going to the bag and getting O'Neill out. So Boggs advances, and there are now 2 outs. The double play feature, the double play feature in inside pitch advanced is so much easier to me than regular inside pitch. You could look at the D20 and you could just check, and once you get everything pretty much, once you learn memorize on grounders to where they're hit to, such as I know that a hit to the pitcher it's a -2, hit at the catcher a -6, hit to first base it's a -2. +1 to second, +1 to short, 0. You can pretty much memorize where the ball was hit to, and then just check the pitcher card, and then check the batter card. But if you look at the batter card with the batter card, for a double play check, you could just look at that, look at the D20, and pretty much, if you've memorized everything, you already know it's a double play, and you don't even have to really go any higher than that. In inside pitch, you have to actually figure where the ball was hit to, the pivot, the double play rating on the pitcher, and the pivot rating on the second baseman or shortstop. That's all baked into inside pitch advanced. It's automatically baked in. He made it streamlined version. I think this is even better than than classic IP. However, some people do like, not knocking, of course, classic inside pitch. All right, some people like the idea of a pivot rating on the shortstop and everything, but on a shortstop or second base. But this is how we did it, and he streamlined it even easier. You don't have to worry about making calculations. The only calculations you got to make is what's on the D20. Add or subtract the pitcher rating, the pitcher ground ball double play rating. Add where it was hit to, or subtract where it's hit to. Check the batter card, and you already know if it's a double play or not. Now the one thing is, if that was not a 1, but let's say that was a 5, if the number that's on the D20, the modified D20 roll, is between the base running rating of the batter but under the ground ball double play rating of the batter, okay, it's a fielder's choice. Wade Boggs would be out, and the runner would have made first instead. Here's Ruben Sierra. Let's try this. There are now 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. And we'll roll the strategy roll again. And nothing happening. Boggs is staying put. So Maddox will go ahead and pitch. And that was a sewer dice, so re-roll. The one problem I have with this setup, though, is that I have a nasty habit of missing the top of the dice tower. If one of these dice goes behind this setup, I may not be able to find it. I got to be a little bit more careful in this case because I have nothing backing up this tray. So I got to be careful. Maddox's card says a 7-5. A 7-5 is a K with HR in parentheses. This means that if Greg Maddux was tired, this would be a possible home run. Obviously, it's the first inning. Maddux is fresh. So we just look at the K rating, which is a possible strikeout. Against a righty, Ruben Sierra is a 10. -1 from the ballpark rating will make him a 9. That is a 5. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. That'll be the first strikeout for Greg Maddux. So no runs and a hit for the Yanks. And we have no score. I've already talked for a quick minute. So if you guys give me a second before we go to the top of the second, let me just go get a quick drink. I'll be right back. Normally during regular season games, I can actually go 7 innings without having to get a drink or something, or getting something, something like that. But in this game, since I'll be talking a little bit more, it'll make my voice a little bit more. Although I've had all this rest, you would think I'd have all this rest. We go to the top of the second, and leading off is I believe, is David Justice. He is the Atlanta designated hitter, so we are using the DH in this. Since this game is at Yankee Stadium, we will use the designated hitter. But of course, remember, all pitchers have pitcher hitting cards. So the National League, of course, is still hitting. Pitchers are still hitting in 1996 and such. So that's how we have that. That's how we got it. David Justice. He was married to Halle Berry. Boy, that really pisses me off. So Andy Pettitte will get to bat. So he will Pettitte to pitch. Pettitte rolls a 6-7, and a 6-7 has 2 stars on it, but the S pound sign in parentheses. If Pettitte was tired, this would be an automatic single, and you use the D20 to decide where it went. But however, this is going to be an automatic out instead when you get 2 stars, that is an automatic out, and you just use the D20. And you notice the top of the line has 1 to 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 11, 14, 17, 20. That's a 7. And the 7 comes in between here because there's the 8. So we just use this number. So Andy Pettitte had total control of that bat, and the Justice grounds it short. And that's 1 out. Next batter for the Braves will be the catcher, Javi Lopez. Same as Fantasy Zero, huh? Keep on shaking. That's going to be... I know that's going to be aggravating, because here I am. I mean, the table shouldn't be shaking, but here I am. I'm just shaking the dice, and it's shaking the table. Jeez. That's going to be difficult. I know that's going to be annoying. But that's what happens when you buy a brand new computer with a brand new monitor with a stand that sticks out further than I thought it would, and I had to set this up. Well, I guess we're going to have to live with it, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, Pettitte will go ahead and he will pitch. Pettitte rolls a 4-6 and a 4-6 on his card. Now, here we have a double question mark. A double question mark, what I call, is a pitcher result. We then go to this section right here, and then look at the D20. Yes, this should be in 4K. I should be broadcasting in 4K. So you should be if of course your monitor or your PC can display it. It should be in 4K mode. Okay, and anything as well when I go ahead and process it and keep and save it, all right, into the system, it should save it in 4K. So a 4-6, okay, is a double question mark. I call that a pitcher result. So we go right to here, and we'll go ahead and check the D20. The D20 is a 19. Javi Lopez is a right-handed batter, and we check this section down here against righties. A 1 would have been an error on a drop ball no matter what. A 2 to 8 against a right-handed batter would have been automatic out, and then a possible home run is a blank. The 19 is too high, so it goes as a blank, and now we roll on Javi Lopez's card. And that comes as a 1-6, And a 1-6 on Javi Lopez's card says L5, which is a line out right to short, line out to third. And that is 2 outs. Since there's nobody on base, you don't check for a line out double play. So it's not touching that. Maybe that has something to do with it. Okay. With 2 outs now, we'll bring up Jermaine Dye. I have him in right field for this game. I have Jermaine Dye in right field. So let's see what Pettit does. And that is an 8-4. An 8-4 comes up as an RP at sign. Range play at the park. So it's an automatic range play for the Yankees in the field. We then go to Yankee Stadium. We then roll on Yankee Stadium to see if there's going to be a range play. You can now see every imperfection on my hand. Well, thanks a lot there, Craig. I know I have lots of imperfections, but gee. Fine. But okay. So now we roll at Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium comes up as a 7-8. And a 7-8 on the ballpark card says *7. This is an automatic out, but it is a range play. We check the star line on Pettit's card. *7 is an F8. That's a fly ball to center field. That's going to be a range play for center fielder Bernie Williams. Bernie Williams has a range of 3 in center field. So we roll a die, and a 1-3 he makes the play. A 4-7 he does not. But since he is the home player, range play rolls of 8 are successful for the home team automatically. So really, a 1, 2, 3, or 8, he will make the catch. It is an 8, and he will. Because of Yankee Stadium, he'll go ahead and make the catch. So that is a fly out to center field and a 1-2-3 inning for Andy Pettit. And we'll go to the bottom of the second. Some people are slightly criticizing the range play idea at the home ballpark. I've learned to actually accept it, that you know what, when you are playing at home, you should have a little bit of advantage. Although some people think that's actually a pretty big advantage, that you're actually given another, 12% chance to make a play on a range play. Doesn't happen often, but it can happen. But that's what we got there. So I'm going to play by the rules, at least in that regard. We go to the bottom of the second inning. Greg Maddux is back on the mound, and leading off for the Yankees will be Tino Martinez, and he is at first base. Maddux will go ahead and pitch, and he rolls a 6-5, and a 6-5 is a K. It's a possible strikeout against a righty. Martinez is an 8, -1 is a 7. That's a 17. It's going to be too high. Martinez, we go to Martinez's card, and that is a 5-2, and a 5-2 says S9, and that is a single to right. That is a base hit to right field. So Tino Martinez will get a hit off of Maddux, and I'm using Tim Raines as the designated hitter for the Yankees for this game. Tim Raines usually was the main DH. For the Yankees that year later on. So Tino Martinez is at first. We roll the strategy die. Martinez only had 2 stolen bases. His attempt rating is an H, which means the only way he tries to steal is on a possible hit and run. Raines' only chance to have a shot at a hit and run is rolling a 20. And he got it. That's a 20. That is a possible hit and that says a possible hit and run could occur. Now, Tim Raines has a 20. Tino Martinez's stolen base rating is a 13. Maddux is going to add 1 to that, makes it a 14. We're going to do the hit and run. We're going to do the hit and run. This is a demo game. We'll do what the D20 says to do here. So we roll for a hit and run. In a hit and run, okay, there are different things to check in a hit and run, okay? On a double play check, it's -10 to the double play roll. All base running ratings get a +3. Strikeout, walk, and home run ratings for the batter are cut in half. All lineouts are automatically double plays. And if the batter strikes out, you play like it's a steal. So It's an exhibition game. We'll do the hit and run. So we still roll on the pitcher card, and that's a 6-3. A 6-3 is a blank. We go to Reigns' card. Reigns is an 8-5, and an 8-5 is a split chance, an S/G6. Against a left-handed pitcher, this would be a base hit. But against a right-handed pitcher, this would be a ground ball to short. Now this is a hit and run, so we got it. So we do have a ground ball hit to short. So grounder to short. We check the D10, the D20. The D20 is a 6. Greg Maddux does not add anything to it. It was hit to short, so we add 1, so it's +1 is a 7 to the double play modification. So it would be a 7. All right. Tim Raines, his double play rating is a 12+. So this would normally be a fielder's choice, but you subtract 10 from a double play chance because it is a hit and run. So that 7 would become a 0 or a 1 or a 0. Since the 0 is going to be lower than Tino Martinez's base running rating, since it was a hit and run, the only play is going to be the first. So Tino Martinez got a pretty good jump. Tim Raines is going to be thrown out at first base. Martinez will make second. So the hit and run does kind of work, as it does move the runner into scoring position. And that is how you do a hit and run. And if that comes up again, we'll do it again. So there now is 1 out, and the next batter is going to be Mariano Duncan. I have him at second base for this demo game. So once again, Tino Martinez is on at first. It's on at second. We'll re-roll the strat. Now that comes up in as an 11, but nothing happening here with Mariano Duncan. So we will now roll for Maddux. Maddux is a 4-6, and a 4-6 on his card is a blank. Well, okay, we go to Duncan's card. Mariano Duncan rolls a 1-3. A 1-3 says P6. That's a pop out to short, and that's automatically infield fly rule, so nothing would happen anyway. So Martinez would have to stay at second base. It's 2 outs. Duncan pops out to short. That'll bring up the catcher, Joe Girardi. We're going to use him at catcher. But now there are 2 outs. And we'll re-roll the strat. I'm in the habit of rolling a strategy die, even if even if I really don't have to. It's just a force of habit for me. You know, you don't have to roll a strategy die if you don't want to, and you don't have to use it. You can use it as an optional any way you'd like. Nothing happening on the 17. Now, that was a 17. Now, Joe Girardi has a 17 to a 20 under sacrifice hit. This is a possible bunt. But with 2 outs, you're not going to bunt here, so you would ignore that. So now we go to Maddux to pitch. Maddux does a 2-5, and a 2-5 is a blank. We'll go to Girardi's card. Girardi rolls a 3-3, and a 3-3 against a righty is a split chance. Against a righty, that's going to be a base hit past short. Girardi is going to get a single. Now, the question is, does Tino Martinez score? The one thing about Inside Pitch Advanced, you only have to roll the dice. You only have to roll the dice to see if a base runner scores on a hit to the outfield. This is a base hit past the shortstop, and all you have to do is just check the chart up here. So we know a base hit past the shortstop with a runner on second is the base running rating of the base runner on second has to be a 3+. Okay. Since there are 2 outs, you add 1, which makes that a 4. So Tino Martinez, would have to be a 4. He would have to be a 4 or higher, okay, in order for him to score from second on a base hit past short. Martinez, actually, I'm sorry, not a 4 or higher. He adds 1 to the base running rating, so that makes him a 3. My bad. So a 3+, he scores. Well, Martinez is a 2, but you add 1 with 2 outs, which makes him a 3, and he has to be a 3 or higher to score from second. He will come in to score, and the Yankees will get a 1-0 start. rolled 3-4 score games already. So Joe Girardi will get a RBI single to bring in Martinez. And that will bring up this bum. A 22-year-old, very young, rookie season Derek Jeter. 22 years old, Derek Jeter. This is his rookie year in 1996. One of the greatest of all time? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Fast Action Card Sports Deck now joins us here. And PFL QR. I didn't see you there. My bad, I didn't see you there. Joins us here for the demo game. So Derek Jeter, who will build a house for the Yankees, as we're still at the house that Ruth built in 1996, and the new Yankee Stadium, they call it the house that Jeter built. So Girardi's on it first. We'll still roll the strat anyway, and that is an 8. And nothing happening on the 8. Nothing happening on the 8 here for Joe Girardi, and nothing happening for Jeter. So Maddox will pitch, and Maddox does a 2-4. A 2-4 is a split chance. Against the lefty, it's a possible strikeout. Against the righty, it's a possible walk. Since Derek Jeter is a righty, it's a possible walk. Against the righty, Derek Jeter is an 8. -1 makes him a 7. That's a 16. It's too high. Jeter will swing. Jeter 8-8, and an 8-8 on his card is an F8, which is just a fly out to center field, which will end the inning. So 1 run on 2 hits for the Yankees, and they have a 1-0 lead after 2. Now, I know you guys like this dice tower. I know you guys do. I know you guys like the dice tower. But I want to show you, this is the dice tower that David Baseball Demos has. This will roll dice a lot quicker, and it probably won't be losing dice all the way. I still have not decided if I want to use the dice tower, this one, or use this. I do know this. If I use this dice tower, I may be able to get even closer to the board because this is not as big. So I don't know if you guys have a preference. I mean, I know this is my choice, and I know you guys love the dice tower, but would you guys have an issue if I actually played the season using this? So if I was to use this real quick, it won't take me long to do this real fast. We'll go to the 3rd inning here. So we'll take this off real fast. Throw that to there. And I'll put Yankee Stadium to here instead. And I can probably put that there. Does anybody have really any issues with that? Well, I've given it a shot in the one game, so let's see how this works. Actually, what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to have that here instead, so I can still keep the ballpark card here. And of course, it gives me a little bit more room to bring this down to here and to that. Let's try this, okay? Let's see. This will go ahead. Yeah, it'll fit through there, no problem. It'll fit through there with no problem. And actually, the dice won't take as long to roll. So, and maybe that can speed up gameplay, especially for the 10-minute ticker. I could use the dice tower for the actual game, but use this for the 10-minute ticker. The 10-minute it won't roll so quick. But let's try it out. We're in the top of the 3rd, right? So leading off for the Braves will be Jeff Blauser as Pettit gets back, and I brought my soda in here so I can drink a little bit more. Middle of the night watching this because of you. Well, thank you. I don't know whether to thank you. I don't know if I want to thank you for your due diligence, or if I want to say or I don't know if I want to say you're crazy. Either way, thank you for being here, Fast Action Card Sports Desk. So here's Jeff Blauser. I have him at shortstop. So let's go to the top of the 3rd. So Pettit will pitch, and that is an 8-1 on his card. An 8-1 is an EG, possible error on a grounder. We now go to Jeff Blauser's card. And that is a 5-4, and a 5-4 does come up a possible ground ball. So that is a G6, and that is a ground ball to short. It's a possible error on a grounder. We go ahead and check the ground ball, the error rating of the Yankee ground ball, and that happens to be the shortstop, and that is Jeter. Jeter is the shortstop, and we check his error rating. His error rating is a 6. That's a 19. That's a 19. There's going to be higher than his error rating. He will not make an error. He will make the play, and that will be out number 1. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a little decision. So let's see how we're going to do this. So I'm going to use this for a second. Let's do this for a moment. Let's pull this down a bit. Hear that. Let's see what we're going to do. Give me a second here. Let's see. Pull that. I'd rather really have the scoreboard in here, but let's see. I can't see the dice. So, bring it here a little bit. Bring that back. What are you going to do? Else I'll play with it later. Let's just roll dice. Okay. All right. So there is 1 out on the grounder, and now we go back to Grissom. Grissom is 0 for 1. I'll still set it up. I probably will be using the small dice tower. If anything, the game will move a little faster, and maybe that's what I needed to do. So we'll use this. All right. So Grissom is 0 for 1. So again, Pettit gets to roll. And that is a 6-7. And a 6-7 on his card again is a 2-star, which is an automatic out or parentheses if he's tired. Pettit can pitch to 27 batters before fatigue. So he's not tired. So that's just an automatic out. We'll use the 13, and that's going to be a fly out to left. 2 outs. So Grissom flies out to left, and now we'll go to Mark Lemke. Lemke is 0 for 1 as well. Pettit will pitch, and that is a 5-6. A 5-6 on his card is a W, which is a possible walk. We check Lemke against a lefty. He walked a lot against lefties. That's a 17. -1 for the ballpark makes him a 16. That is a 1, and that is just a bit outside. And that is the second walk given up by Pettit, and Lemke will go to first. And how many outs we got? 2? 2 outs. Change is difficult sometimes. Yes, I know there, Ron. You're 100% right. So Lemke is now on at first, and the batter is Chipper. Chipper got a double his last time up and got a wild pitch and moved over. We'll roll a strategy roll. Nothing happening on the 12. Nothing on the 12. So Pettit will pitch, and that is a 4-6. A 4-6 is a possible pitcher result. Chipper Jones is a switch hitter, so against the lefty he would be batting right. So we go to the right-handed section over here, and we'll check the die. The D20 is a 3, and against that falls into here the 2-8, and against a righty that's going to be an automatic out. We can use the same die roll because Chris says if you use this chart, use the same roll to decide what happened here on the star line because Chris said it is baked in. So that is a 3, and we'll just go here, and it's a G4, and that is because you got 1 to 2, you got 1 to 2 and 3 to 4 here. That's a G4. It's a ground out to short, and that will end the inning. So nothing across except a walk for the Braves in the top of the 3rd. One nothing Yankees here as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning in this demo game. And top of the order for the Yankees and Boggs. Boggs got a base hit his first time up. So Maddox will go ahead and he will go ahead and pitch. So we use his card. Maddox, an 8-6. An 8-6 on his ball says EB. This is a possible error on a booted ball. This is what could happen if maybe the fielder goes ahead and boots the ball. We then go to the batter card. And that is a 1-4. A 1-4 on Boggs' card is a G3. So this is a grounder hit to the first base. Does he boot the ball? The first baseman for the Braves is Fred McGriff. His error rating is a 7. That's a 4. He's going to boot it. So McGriff is going to boot the ball, and that's going to be an error on the crime dog. So Boggs gets on an E3, and that is the first error on the Braves in this game. So a bad play there, and it's only a one base error when it's an error on a booted ball. If you're wondering about the error charts and everything like that, they are all here for you. All the charts here. And also, if you have the game, you also have these smaller cards that he does give you. And you could use it to have these little error cards and such here you could use as well. So is that, so EB, number 1, booted, 1 base only. All here if you want. So there are many ways to go ahead and set the charts up the way you wish. So it is an error. Boggs is on it first. And now the batter is Bernie. Bernie is 0 for 1. Nobody out. So Boggs is on it first. He's really not a stealing threat, but we roll anyway. That's a 5. And nothing happening. So Maddox will pitch. And that is a 6-6. A 6-6 on Maddox card again is an EB. Error on a booted ball. We roll on Bernie Williams. That's a 1-6. And a 1-6 is an F8. That's a fly out. He's not going to boot that ball. That's a fly out to center field. And that will be the first out. And of course, Boggs stays put. Here's O'Neill. O'Neill is 0 for 1. Roll the strat. Nothing happening on the 18. 3-5 on Greg Maddox's card is a K. That's a possible strikeout. Against a righty, O'Neill is a 6. -1 for the ballpark makes him a 5. That's a 3. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. That is the second strikeout for the Mad Dog. And now the batter will be Sierra. And Sierra is 0 for 1. Well, thank you, Fact Sports Desk. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Nothing on that. And that's a 20. Now, a 20 does come up on Ruben Sierra's hit and run, but there are 2 outs. You're not going to hit and run here. So you're just going to ignore that and roll. So Greg Maddox has a 4-5. A 4-5 is a K. Possible strikeout. Against a righty, Sierra is a 10. -1 from Yankee Stadium is a 9. That is a 1. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and the inning is over. So no runs, no hits. There was an error, but the Yankees couldn't take advantage of it. So 1-0 Yankees after 3. I know a lot of you have missed me. I know I got so many people. I know a lot of people always ask me, when you coming back, when you coming back, when you doing it again. Doesn't it feel like we really, I mean, this is, I understand that, how these games go. It doesn't really, doesn't it feel like I really just ended the 1980 season only just yesterday? Doesn't it really feel like that? I just ended 1980, with the Montreal Expos winning that World Series, and here we are right now in the demo game for 1996, with the 1996 season starting on Monday night. I tell you, my off season, I really enjoy my off seasons, but they go by quick. Top of the 4th, and it will be the Crime Dog leading off, and he walked his first time on. Andy Pettit will roll. That is a 5-8. A 5-8 on his card. Now, there's a split chance. Against a lefty, that's a K+. That is a strikeout plus 10. So anytime you get a K+ or a W+, You're adding 10 to the strikeout rating of the batter. You're still subtracting the ballpark adjustment. McGriff is a lefty. So against a lefty, Pettit has a strikeout plus 10. McGriff against the lefty is an 8. -1 is a 7. But you add 10, which will make it 17. That is a 17. And usually when the D20 is on the actual strikeout, number, I call that a called strikeout, which means McGriff just stood there like the house by the side of the road and watched it go by. And that's going to be the first strikeout, actually, for Andy Pettit. 1 down. Here is Klesko. Klesko is 0 for 1. I'm very happy you said that there, Craig. Yeah, that 1980 postseason was crazy. That 1980 postseason was crazy. Although it did kind of, although that 1980 postseason was turning out to be probably the best postseason ever, but the World Series with the Expos, sweeping out the who did the Expos sweep out? Who did they beat? The Expos beat who did they beat? Montreal. Dang, that just shows you how bad my memory is. Who did the Expos beat in my World Series? Dang. They won the World Series. Who did they beat? They beat, the Astros didn't make it. It wasn't the Phillies. They didn't make it. Yeah, who they beat? They beat Baltimore. That's right. Thank you. They beat the Orioles. That's right. They beat the Orioles. They swept the Orioles right out 4-0. That was a little, I'll tell you, as great as that postseason was, it kind of ended with a thud. A lot of people still say my 1979 postseason was the best one I've done yet. So Pettit is so Klesko is up next. He's 0 for 1. Pettit will pitch. That's a 7-5. A 7-5 on his card is a W. That is a possible walk. Klesko against the lefties an 8. -1 is a 7. That's a 6. And he will walk Klesko. And that is the third walk given up by Pettit. Klesko will go to first. And that will bring up DJ. So Justice is up. Infield goes to double play, even though it really doesn't mean anything in the inside pitch advance. But I put it there to remind me there's a double play possibility. Justice is 0 for 1. We roll to see if Klesko's doing anything. That is a 4, and he is staying put. So Pettit will pitch. Pettit, an 8-8. And an 8-8 on his card is a K. Possible strikeout. Against the lefty, Justice is a 4. -1 is a 3. That's a 5. That will be a blank. Wow, Justice didn't strike out much against lefties. Okay. So Justice will swing. And that is a 3-2. And a 3-2 says IS3. That is an infield single. So Justice hits a slow rolling grounder to first. That's going to get picked up by Tino Martinez. But that's going to be an infield single. He does not have a play. And it's only a 1 base advancement. Parrish, exactly. Larry Parrish. So a single for Justice. So now runners at first and second with 1 out. And now a chance for Lopez. Lopez is 0 for 1. So we still roll a strategy roll, see if anything happening. That is a 1. And Klesko is not going anywhere. He's staying put. He only had 6 stolen bases. On the website, it says the advanced version is already on the horizon. No, the advanced version is available. I have every season of Inside Pitch Advanced. And 1967 and 1969 are also available, as well as 1996. What will be the next season he does? I don't know. He's got to do another poll. And, of course, he'll do the next season that is selected from my Inside Pitch season selection show, which will probably be sometime in late October when we get there. Pettit will pitch. It's a 1-7. A 1-7 on Pettit's card is a split chance. Against a lefty, it's an automatic single. Against a righty, it's a blank. Lopez is a righty. That's going to be a blank. So Lopez will bat. And that is a 7-3. And a 7-3 has a G4 with a less than symbol next to it. If this was a hit and run, okay, if this was a hit and run, that would be an automatic, you would check the EXE number over here, and then the D20. If the D20 would be 11 or lower, that G4 becomes an S4. That would be a base hit. Javi Lopez did do okay against hit and runs, because he does have, even though he didn't do it much, but he does have a chance to get hit and runs here, okay? But since it is not a hit and we didn't do a hit and run, that's just a G4. That's just a grounder to second base. We can check we check the D20. We already know the D20 is a 20. Javi Lopez's GDP is a 10 plus. You really don't even have to worry about adding anything. Andy Pettitte adds 1. We already know that is a 4-6-3 double play, just like that. Almost as easy if you're playing Stratomatic and you see an A next to the GB shortstop or GB2. You already know it's a double play. That's the one thing about Inside Pitch. Your Inside Pitch Advanced. You already know that's just a double play. Easy. So there was no runs. There was a hit and a walk. And we go to the bottom of the 4th. Just like that. That's how easy it is to pick up a double play, to see if a play is a double play or not. We go to the bottom of the 4th. The Yankees are leading 1-0 here in this game. Maddox is back on the mound. Maddox can pitch to 28 batters before tiring. Pettitte can pitch to 27. And we'll probably use fatigue if necessary. So leading off for the Yankees is Tino Martinez. Martinez got a single his first time up. So Greg Maddox, we roll. And that is a 2-7. A 2-7 on his card is a K, possible strikeout. Against a righty, Martinez is an 8. -1 is a 7. That is an 8. The ballpark helps Tino Martinez avoid a strikeout. He will get to swing. That is a 7-7. And a 7-7 on Martinez's card is an S4. So the ballpark helps Tino Martinez get a base hit past second instead of a possible strikeout. So Martinez gets his second hit of the ball game. So he goes to first. And now the batter is Rock Raines. Raines is 0 for 1. Tino really only had 2 stolen bases, so probably not going to be doing anything. Roll a strat energy away. That's an 18. Nothing happening from Tino Martinez's card or Raines' card. Maddox will pitch. That's a 3-6. A 3-6, there's that K and an HR in parentheses. Maddox is not tired, so we go right to the K. So it's a possible strikeout. Raines against a righty is an 8. -1 is a 7. That is a 1. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. That is the 4th K for Maddox, and there is 1 out. Here's Duncan. Duncan is 0 for 1. Rolling with strategy again. That is a 2. And nothing happening with Martinez. He'll stay put. Maddox will pitch. And on his card is a 7-4. A 7-4 pickoff. And then a possible at the park. We then check Maddox's pickoff rating. That is a 6. On his card, he has a 1, 2, 3, and a blank. The 6 is too high, so there's no chance of a pickoff or an error. Now we go to the ballpark. The ballpark is a 4. The ballpark is a 4-2, and a 4-2 is a G5 with that little sign saying if the infield is in, that would be a base hit instead. The infield is not in, so that is just a ground ball to third. Is it a possible double play? Well, that's a 17 on the ball. Hit to third, there's no adjustment, so it's a +0. Maddox is a 0. Duncan has a 15 plus. So that 17 is going to stand, and that is going to be a 5-4-3 double play around the horn, and that will end the inning. No runs and a hit for the Yankees. Still 1-0 after 4. As Duncan grounds out into the twin killing. We go to the top of the 5th. Andy Pettitte back on the mound, and it will be Jermaine Dye leading off for the Braves. Dye is 0 for 1. Pettit, a 3-1 on his card. A 3-1 is a possible strikeout against the lefty. Die is an 8. -1 is a 7. That is a 10. It's too high. And we'll roll for Die. Die is a 5-5, and that's a P5. He pops that one out to third for out number 1. I got to get used to. I'm so used to having the outs over here. I'm probably going to move that for the start of the season. Here's Blauser. Blauser is 0 for 1. So Pettit will pitch. Pettit, a 7-8. A 7-8 on his card is an RP12. This is a possible range play. The one thing about inside pitch advanced compared to regular inside pitch, that sometimes a pitcher sometimes needed his defense behind him, sometimes he didn't. Okay? The higher the range play number sometimes, the more the pitcher was relying on his defense behind him. So in this case, now of course, that could be a boon, because sometimes a range play could turn a hit into an out. It could also turn an out into a single. So that can happen as well. So this is an RP12. We then check the D20 to see if it's a range play. A 12 or under on the D20, this is a range play. But that D20 is an 18. So it will not be a range play, which means if Blauser was to get a hit off this card, there would be no chance for the fielder to go ahead and make a play on the ball. But if it was an out, that would, of course, there would be a chance to stop it. So it's not a range play. We go to Blauser's card. Blauser's card is a 5-2, and there it is. 5-2 is an S5. That is a base hit past third. So because it wasn't a range play, that's an automatic hit for Blauser, which means Wade Boggs didn't get a chance to make a play. So Blauser gets a hit, and that will bring up Grissom. Grissom is 0 for 2 in this exhibition matchup. So we roll to see. Blauser only had 6 stolen bases. I doubt he's going to do anything, and he won't. And Grissom is not going to do anything. Pettit will pitch. That's a 1-5. There again is a 1-5, a possible pickoff, and then we go to the park. That is a 3. We then check Andy Pettit's card, and here it is, P01. 1 to 10 is a pickoff at first base. That is a 3. He got him. So Pettit does pick off Blauser, and that will be out number 2. Now, normally according to the rule, you go straight to the ballpark card after that. But because something occurred on base pads, I re-roll the at-bat. Because now the defense has to make a change. So now there are 2 outs, as Andy Pettit picked off Blauser. So Pettit will redo the at-bat. So Pettit, 8-7 on his card. Again, range RP12, range play 12. That is a 2. This time that is going to be a range play for the Yankees. Grissom will swing. That is a 3-4. And a 3-4 is a G6. That's a ground ball to short. That's hit to Jeter. Jeter's range is a 3. So a 1 to 3, Jeter will a 1, 2, since Jeter happens to be the home team, a 1, 2, 3, or 8, he will make the play. And that is a 5. He won't. That's going to be a base hit. So that's going to be a base hit for Grissom, as Jeter couldn't get to that. One of the greatest shortstops ever. Yeah, sure, whatever. That's a base hit for Grissom. That's his first hit of the game. And now the batter is Lemke. Lemke is 0 for 1. He's walked once. Grissom is a stealing threat. He had 28 steals. We roll. That's a 19. Lemke's hit and run rating is a 17 to 19. But with 2 outs, he's not going to do any hit and runs. So Pettit will pitch. And that's a 5-8. A 5-8 on his card is a split. Against a lefty, it's a strikeout plus. Against a righty, it's a possible walk. Lemke is a switch hitter. And against the lefty, we know he's on the right. He's batting against the right. He's batting on the right side. Against the lefty, Lemke is a 17. -1 is a 16. That's a 15. And Pettit will walk him. So Pettit walks Lemke. And now runners at first and second with 2 outs. That is the 4th walk given up by Andy Pettit. He did have 70 walks that year. And now here's Chipper. Chipper is 1 for 2. He's got a double. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. I still roll the strat. That's an 8. Nothing happening. Nothing happening with Chipper or with Marquise Grissom or Mark Lemke. So Pettit will pitch. Pettit, an 8-1. An 8-1 on his card is an EG, error on a grounder. We then check Chipper's card. And that is a 1-1. An N1 is an S6. This is a base hit past short. This is not an error, even though it's a ground ball, but it goes by the shortstop. That is not an error. That is not an error. That gets by the shortstop. That's not an error on the ground. There's no chance of making an error because it got by the shortstop. So on an EG, so that's not going to be an error. That's going to be a base hit past short. Will it score Grissom? Grissom's base running rating is a 4. Checking the chart, you have to be a 3+ to score from second. And of course, there are 2 outs, which will make Grissom's rating a 5. Well, you have to be a 3+. He does that. That's a base hit past short. Grissom will score, and the game is tied. Lemke's base running rating is a 3. You add 1 to make that a 4. He needs to be, on a base hit past short, he needs to be a 7+ to get to third. He is not. He will hold at second. Chipper has an RBI single, and we're tied at 1, people. So an RBI single by Chipper, and he's now 2 for 3 tonight. And that will bring up McGriff, the crime dog. The crime dog is 0 for 1, but he does have a walk. Tied at 1 now, bottom of the 5th inning. And so far, I hope all you guys are enjoying this demo game. Strategy roll coming up. Nothing on the 10. Nothing for Fred McGriff at all. And nothing happening with either of the runners. Pettit will pitch, and that's an 8-6. An 8-6 on his card is an EFG and at the park. This is an error on a foul pop-up or grounder at the park. So there could be an error on a foul pop-up, which means the fielder dropped the ball in foul territory, or a ground ball, So we now go to the park, but it's at the park. So we go to Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium says 7-5. 7-5 on the Yankee Stadium card is a G5. And that is a ground ball. So now we got to see if there's an error on a ground ball. And it's hit to third. So we now got to see if there's an error at third. Third baseman for the Yankees is Wade Boggs. His error rating is a 5. The D20 is a 14. That will not be an error. He's going to make the play. And he's going to throw to first to get McGriff. And that will retire the side. So 1 run, 3 hits, and a walk. And we go to the bottom of the 5th, tied at 1. Yeah, so far we're having a pretty decent game here. As we now go to the bottom of the 5th inning, we take a sip of drink. Good to have everybody here tonight for the demo game. Bottom of the 5th inning, Maddox back on the mound, and it will be Girardi. He will lead off. Girardi got a base hit his first time up. So Maddox, a 6-6 on his card. EB, error on a booted ball. So now we go to Girardi's card. And that's a 7-1. A 7-1 comes up with a small little R and an S9. Now, the R stands for runners in scoring position. So, if there are runners in scoring position, it is a possibility that the pitcher could turn that hit into an out, or could actually turn the out into a hit. There are no runners in scoring position, so that R is ignored. So you just take the result of the hit you just take the result, and that is an S9. That is a base hit to right field. That is a hit. That is a hit. Now, it is possible that the right fielder could still boot the ball. So Joe Girardi does get a hit. It's a single to right field. We did say error on a booted ball. We got to see if the right fielder booted the ball. The right fielder for the Braves is Jermaine Dye. Jermaine Dye's error rating in right field is a 13. That's a 20. We did not. If you did use the D20 once, you should re-roll it. But in this case, we did not. That's a D20. It is not. He does not boot the ball, so he collects it cleanly, and Girardi will be safe at first with a single. So Girardi has his second hit of the game. And now the batter is Jeter. And infield is a double play death automatically. Doesn't matter how late, because I'm paid time off from work all this week. As a matter of fact, guys, so am I. The only day I work this week is Tuesday. I have 3 days off left from last year. My job does not give you money if you don't use the time. So, you either use it or you lose it. So I'm off tomorrow. I'm working Tuesday, then off Wednesday, off Thursday, off Friday, and of course Saturday we're closed on July 4th, so I don't work Saturday. So I've got 8 out of the next 9 days I am off. I kind of finagled that vacation so I can get it to work. And then on July 7th, when I go back to work, I got 13 days all over again because that was my anniversary date. Sometimes the bear gets you, but sometimes you get the bear. So Girardi on it first. We'll roll a strat. That is a 1. Let's see what happens. That's a 1. Girardi's attempt rating is a 3 on the card. Maddox is a 0. That is a 1. Girardi actually gets the steal sign. Let's do it. Girardi's stolen base rating is a 15. Maddox adds 1, which is a 16. Catcher rating for Atlanta, Javi Lopez, is a 0. So Girardi's got a pretty good chance to steal this. A 1 to 16, he is safe. And that is 6, and he is. So Girardi will steal second base. And we'll re-roll the strat again. But this time, nothing happening on the 13th. So Girardi does go ahead. He's at second base, and now Jeter at the plate. Tripe fan joins us here at the demo game. Tied at 1, bottom of the 5th in this little exhibition doohickey we got. So Maddox will pitch. Maddox is a 2-5. A 2-5 is a blank. We go right to Jeter's card. Jeter will swing. It's a 7-2, and that is an IS4. That's an infield single, which means Girardi only goes to third, and Jeter goes to first. And now the Yankees have runners at the corners and no one out. That'll bring up Boggs. Now with runners at first and third and no one out, we're going to bring the infield in. So now if something comes up for the infield in, I'll bring it up. So the infield is in, and we will use the infield in chart that comes with the game here. This is really an optional chart. You can utilize the old style, the base running rating and all that. I find out the chart actually gives a little bit more randomization to the play, and I kind of like how the chart works. So, usually if there's nobody out, I kind of use it the old-fashioned way. If there's one out, I usually won't use the chart. But we'll use the chart just in case. So runners at the corners. There's no one out here. Infield is in. And let's see if anything happening on the strat. Boggs is 1 for 2. Singled and reached on an error. And that is a 1. So Jeter does have a stolen base chance. It's a 2. He had 14 steals. Girardi's not going anywhere. Runners at the corners, no one out. Normally, I would let Boggs swing here. But because we're doing a demo game, let's do a steal. So, why not? Girardi's not going. So, Jeter is a 13, plus 1 is a 14. Javi Lopez is a 0 arm. So a 1-14, Jeter will steal second. He does. Normally, if this was a regular season game, I wouldn't have done that. But Jeter will get a stolen base. That is the second stolen base in the inning for the Yankees. Now Boggs is going to run with runners at second. Now runners at second and third, and they're going to pitch to him because he got Bernie Williams still waiting on deck. We'll re-roll the strat. Nothing happening on the 2. So Maddox, he's a bit of a jam here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Maddox rolls a 6-3, and that is a blank. We'll go to Boggs' card. Boggs rolls. That is a 7-7, and a 7-7 is a G6. The infield is in, so it's a ground ball to short, but the infield is in. We now check this infield in chart right here. And I think he has this chart. I think he has this one here. Yes, he does. So there's a little infield in chart. So how do we do this? We know it was a ground ball to short. We take the number, it's a 1, and you subtract off the D20. Since it was a ground ball to short, it's a ground ball to short. Girardi's base running rating is a 4. Okay? Since his base running rating is a 4, there is no adjustment. So you keep the D20 just where it is. It's a grounder to shortstop. That is a 1, and it says 1-9. It says 1-9. The runner on third holds, and the batter is out. So it's a grounder to short. Nobody goes. They hold Girardi back. The throw goes to first to get Boggs, and that is out number 1. So runners hold. Nothing happens. And now the batter is Bernie. Yes, happy 100th birthday to Mel Brooks, a fellow Jew of mine. Mazel tov. Him and Dick Van Dyke, 100 years old. I think those two guys have seen quite a bit. So Girardi's at third, Jeter's on at second. There's now 1 out, keeping the infield in. Nothing happening on the strategy roll. Maddox will pitch. Maddox is a 2-4, and a 2-4 on his card is a split chance. Against a lefty, possible strikeout. Against a righty, possible walk. Williams is a switch hitter. Against a righty, he's batting he's batting left. So that's a possible strikeout. Williams is an 8. -1 is a 7. That is a 7. That's a called strike 3 on Williams, and that's 2 outs. That is a big strikeout for Greg Maddux, as Bernie Williams just sat there and watched the ball roll by. And now 2 outs. Now the infield will move back. Can Greg Maddux get out of this jam? O'Neill's the batter, and he is 0 for 2. Re-roll a strat, nothing on the 7. So Maddux will pitch. Maddux a 4-4, and that is a blank. That is a blank on his card. We'll go to O'Neill's card. And that is a 6-6. And on his card, it's a fly ball to left field. Going after that is Klesko. He gets under it, makes the catch. The New York Yankees had runners at second and third, nobody out, and they get nothing. Good day, sir. No runs, 2 hits, a couple of steals, and the Yankees get bupkis as they get bupkis as Mel Brooks would probably say. Stadium groans. Let's go to the 6th. Yeah, Maddox is good. Maddox is one of the greatest of all time. Top of the 6th inning, Ryan Klesko will lead off for the Braves. And Pettit still got both pitchers are pretty much 11 in the tank. Remember, this is 1996, not 2026. Can you believe this season? Can you guys believe this season was 30 years ago? Wow. Pettit will pitch. Pettit a 7-6. A 7-6 on his card is a K. Possible strikeout against the lefty. Klesko's a 13. -1 makes him a 12. That's a 6. He got him. And that's only the second strikeout for Andy Pettitte. One down. Here's Justice. Justice is 1 for 2 with a single. Pettitte will pitch. And that is a 1-6. A 1-6 is a split. Against the lefty, it's a single. Against the righty, it's a blank. Justice is a lefty. That's going to be an automatic single. That is a 1. We'll use this number here. And that's going to be a base hit past short. So Justice will get his second hit of the game. He's now 2 for 3. And now the batter is Lopez. Lopez is 0 for 2. Justice only had 1 steal, and he's not going. So Andy Pettitte will go ahead and pitch. Pettitte, 6-7. A 6-7 on his card is an automatic out or a single if he's tired. He's not tired yet. That's an auto out. We use the 6, and that's going to be a G5. That's a ground ball to third. That's a ground ball to third. Since we had to use the D20, we should re-roll it to see if it's going to be a possible double play. That is a 10. So 10 hit the third plus 0. Pettitte adds 1, which makes it 11. And Lopez is a 10 plus, and that is going to be a 5-4-3 double play to end the inning. No runs and a hit for the Braves. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Ruben Sierra leads off for the Yanks. And he is 0 for 2. He struck out twice. So Maddox, he will go ahead and pitch. And that is a 2-6. And a 2-6 is a split. Against the righty, it's a blank. I'm sorry, it's against the lefty, it's a possible strikeout. Sierra is a switch hitter. And against the righty, he's batting left. Against the righty, Sierra is a 10. -1 is a 9. That's a 15. This time, Sierra does not strike out. He swings. That is a 7-3. And now we have an N with a double star of 1. The N means if there are no runners in scoring position. Well, there are no runners in scoring position because there is nobody on base. So this N does mean something. We now have to check to see if Greg Maddux keeps this. So now we check the NR rating of the pitcher to see if it stays an out or if it becomes a hit. Since we're using the N rating, we check here to Greg Maddux's number. The N rating on Greg Maddux is a 9. So a 1 to 9, that will keep that out and out. We check the D20. That is a 9. It's right on the money. So that is a 9. That will stay an automatic out. That's a star 1, which is a ground ball to first, which is easily handled by McGriff, and he'll take it to the bag himself. If that was a 10 or higher, that would have been a base hit past first instead. So, in a way, the NR rating is a kind of like a... The NR rating is a kind of like a clutch rating, okay? If you want to say it's a clutch rating like what Stratomatic uses, if you like, fine. But it's a little bit different because in Stratomatic, the clutch rating, okay, is only on batter cards. The pitcher doesn't control the clutch rating at all on Stratomatic. The pitcher does, however, control a little bit of the clutch rating in Inside Pitch Advanced. The pitcher can turn an out into a hit or a hit into an out, depending if there are runners on base or if there are no runners on base. Another nice nuance of Inside Pitch Advanced. Here's Tino Martinez. Martinez is 2 for 2. He's got 2 singles. So Maddox will pitch, and that's a 7-2. And now a 7-2 has a straight at symbol, so that's straight at the park. We go right to the Yankees Stadium. And that is a 3-4. And a 3-4 at Yankee Stadium. Now you have a split here. You have an F/D7. This is not the pitcher arm. This is the batting. This is the batter's stance. So you would check this. So usually, like off the batter card, the D7 would be against a right-handed pitcher, and the F would be against a left-handed pitcher. But on the ballpark card, that's not the case. It is reversed on the ballpark card. It is the batter's stance. This is how you can determine if where home runs are possible. Martinez is a lefty, and the left side of the split chance has an F/D7. That is a fly out to left field, not a double to left field, and that is out number 2. It says here on the ballpark card, use hitter's side for splits. And that is what makes a difference there. It is not the pitcher's arm on the ballpark card. The pitcher's arm only comes into play on the batter card, not the ballpark card. It's what side of the plate the batter is hitting from the right side or the left side. There are now 2 outs, and the next batter is Rock Raines, and he is 0 for 2. So Maddox will pitch, and that is a 2-5. A 2-5 on his card is a blank. We go right to Raines. Raines is an 8-3. And now here we go. We got an R rating, which says runners in scoring position. But there are no ratings in runners in scoring position. That's ignored. So we have an S5 right next to it. So that's going to be a base hit for Raines. So Raines is going to get his first hit of the ball game. And he's now 1 for 3. And the batter now is Duncan. So Duncan is 0 for 2. And there are 2 outs. We still roll a strat. That's a 10, nothing happening. So Maddox will pitch. Maddox is 7-7, and a 7-7 on his card is a blank. We go to Duncan's card. Duncan is a 6-8, and that's a G5. That's a ground ball to third. There are 2 outs. It's going to get picked up by Chipper. And pretty much the base running ratings are the same, so I haven't throw to second since they're the same. So Chipper gets it, throws to second to get out Raines, and that will end the inning. No runs and a hit for the Yankees. Tied at 1 after 6. Now, does anybody have any questions before I roll? Because now, usually in these demo games, at about the 7th inning, I now speed up. I now try to go ahead and get the game finished. I'm looking at the chat right now. Does anybody have any questions before I speed up play? Yeah, that's correct, Craig. Absolutely. That is absolutely correct. If nobody has any questions, I'll go right to speeding up play a little bit. And pretty much I'll go to the speed of play that I usually go to when I'm playing a regular season game. Everyone's review, but okay. Then let's go right to it. Let's go to the top of the 7. Andy Pettitte back on the mound. He can pitch to 2 more batters before he tires. So it's going to be Jermaine Dye leading off. And he is 0 for 2. So let's go ahead and speed up. So Pettitte will pitch. Pettitte, a 4-2. That is an error. Now, if I come up with something new, I'll slow down. That's an ET. That is an error on a throw. The error on a throw may be maybe the most complex of all the errors in Inside Pitch Advanced. It is a little bit complex. We got to see if there's a throwing error, though. So now we'll see what Jermaine Dye does. And he rolls a 4-3. And a 4-3 is an S5. That is a base hit past third. That's a single past third. There will not be a throwing error on that. It's not an infield single. It's a straight single. You would have an error on a throw possibility if it was an infield single. The fielder is still trying to think he can get the batter out. But it's going to be a straight single, so there's no throwing error. It's past the batter, and Dye goes to first. So Dye gets his first hit of the game. Next up is Blauser. Blauser is 1 for 2. Infield's a double play. Dye did have a steal, but I don't think he's going to do anything, and he won't. Pettit will pitch. 1-2. That is a strikeout plus 3, and he got Blauser. He will strike out Blauser. That is the third strikeout for Pettit in 1 out. Here's Grissom. As I said, I'm now speeding up to show you now how I usually play a regular season game. Dies on at first, nothing happening. Pettit, a 4-7. That is a possible strikeout. 10 is going to be too high. Grissom, 2-8, and that's a base hit past third. Dye does not have the speed. He's going to have to hold at second base. So Grissom, now runners now at first and second, and Pettit is tired. This is where I go ahead and put a pawn on the pitcher card, reminding me that he is tired. So now runners at first and second with 1 out. The batter now is Lemke. Pettit is tired, and we'll take him out. We're going to play a little bit here. So Andy Pettit being yanked. And the cards we're using for the cards we're using is just the main pack. All right. So everybody's available in the pack. So let's bring a new pitcher here. Now, the one thing I like about Inside Pitch Advanced, Chris goes ahead and gives you opportunities to decide which pitchers or which batters you want to do. For instance, let's take a look at Mark Lemke's card. Mark Lemke has a couple of numbers down here underneath this section here. He has a 1 in parentheses on each side. This is the amount, this is the times he pinch hit against a righty or a lefty. He only pinch hit against righties once and lefties once. He did have 499 at bats, which tells me Mark Lemke usually wasn't lifted, and rarely he was brought into pinch hit. Okay? On the pitcher's cards, however, pitcher's cards have a little thing over this section here, E4 and EML0, L and S ratings. This tells you how many times a pitcher came in during the period of the game. According to Chris, he says the early innings are 1 to 5, middle innings are 6 to 7, late innings are 8 to 9, and then, of course, the S means how many times he was asked to bring in a save. I'm a little on the fence on that. I kind of think the early innings should be 1 to 4, middle innings 5, 6, 7, late innings 8, 9, but you don't have to go by that if you don't want to. You don't have to go by that if you don't want to. So it just tells you when that pitcher came in at certain times. Okay, so Lemke is the Lemke, you got runners at first and second and 1 out. And you got switch left. I'm going to go ahead and Lemke doesn't do well against lefties that much. So let's see if I can find a left-hander here to come in to pitch for the Yanks. And let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. Let's see, I know I went ahead and got these all set up here. So we got Nelson, Brewer. We are in the 7th inning, so still be considered middle inning. Let's bring in Jeff Nelson. Well, no, Nelson's a righty. So let's bring in, let's see, lefty with the most. Let's see. Lefty with the most middle inning position. We'll bring in Graham Lloyd. Graham Lloyd will come into pitch. He's a lefty. He has 19 middle appearances. So Graham Lloyd is going to come into pitch. And he can pitch to 4 batters. So I'll mark that on the card so I know. So Graham Lloyd is going to pitch. I do use the 3-batter rule in every season. I know the 3-batter rule didn't come in until late in the early 2020s. I like the 3-batter rule. It kind of makes it a little bit easier to gauge pitching. So, but Graham Lloyd can pitch to 4 batters before he retires. So Graham Lloyd's going to pitch to Lemke, which will make him a right-handed batter. So runners at first and second. There is 1 out. Dye is on at second. Grissom on at first. A good chance for the Braves. Strategy roll. That is a 4. Nothing happening. Lloyd will pitch. 3-7. Strikeout against a lefty. Lemke is a 4. -1 is a 3. That's an 18. It's too high. Lemke will swing. That's a 3-4, and that is a ground ball to third. That's a 10. Hit to third is a 0. Now here's the thing about this now. We have runners at first and second on a ground ball to third. This is where you decide if the runner at third is forced, okay, or the batter is out. So we round a ground ball to third. Lloyd adds +3. So that 10 becomes a 3 because it becomes a 13. When it's hit to third, there's no adjustment. It's a 0. Lemke's ground ball double plating rating is a 15. So that is a 13. So it's going to be a fielder's choice. But when you check your chart right here, and you check your chart right around here, it says modified roll odd, which it is. Play is going to third using runner at second for forced base running check. So since that is an odd number, it's a force out at third. So Dye is out at third base. Grissom gets to second, and Lemke's on at first, and there are 2 outs. So it does go as a fielder's choice. And now there are 2 down, and now a chance for Chipper. Chipper is 2 for 3. He's got a single and a double. Grissom on at second, Lemke on at first. Strategy roll. That is a 1. Grissom actually gets a chance to steal because you divide the attempt rating. However, Graham Lloyd's a -1 hole. That would be a 3. So actually does not get a chance to steal because it has to be divided by 4. So because Graham Lloyd actually holds runners pretty well, no chance to steal to go get a third. Although normally you probably wouldn't do this in this situation with a 309 batting average hitter at the plate. Lloyd will pitch. 5-7, and that's a possible strikeout. That's a 2, and against the lefty, swing and a miss. Struck him out. He gets Chipper. And that'll do it. That's the 4th strikeout for Yankee pitchers. No runs, 2 hits for the Braves. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. And, well, Singh takes me out to the ballpark. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm just going to set up here for the bottom of the 7th inning. So you guys enjoying this so far? You like the new setup? I could probably get it better if I'm going to use this small thing, and I think I'm going to. I think I have more control over the dice placement with this one than I did have the dice tower. Plus, the dice don't roll that long, so actually games might actually go by quicker. Especially 10-minute ticker. 10-minute ticker definitely will go by faster, okay? And using this dice tower, the dice don't roll as much, so the games actually could be cut. I would say, I guess, you know what? Maybe you consider this a pitch clock. This is my pitch clock. So games are now going to go faster due to this. So this is my pitch clock. How about that? I have a pitch clock. That's going to be the pitch clock. That'll increase the speed of games a bit. Sorry, guys. I do love my new computer, by the way. I love my new PC and I love my new monitor. And everything right now seems to be working smoothly. I'm using OBS, okay, for gaming, so I can go ahead and do streaming in 4K. I cannot stream 4K straight through YouTube. I can stream through 4K through OBS. The only thing that OBS does not tell me, however, is how many people are watching. I don't see a setting that tells me how many people are watching the game. I'm looking for it, and I don't see it anywhere. I'm going to have to find where there is, but I don't see anywhere where I can find out how many people are watching. It shows me the chat, but it doesn't show me how many people are watching the game. So I don't know how many of you guys are watching. Could only be 2 or 3 of you. Could be 20, and I don't know. I'm going to have to figure that, see if I can find that out in the chat. See if I can find that out somewhere in the settings. All right, bottom of the 7th. Braves and Yankees tied at 1. And who leads off? Girardi. So Girardi will lead off. Maddox can pitch to 2 more Maddox can pitch to 3 more batters before he tires. You don't see the... See, I don't see... Because I don't have YouTube up there, Ben. I'm not using YouTube to stream. I'm using OBS, the broadcasting thing, to stream. And it does not tell me how many people are watching. I got to find out there's a setting where that is. I have no idea how many people are watching right now. That's not good. I do want to know how many people are here. I mean, I don't mind if it's... Sometimes I've played games where I've only had 1 or 2 people here. I understand. I get that. But I would like to still know. So, I got to see if there's a setting for that. It's got to be someplace in there. I can find out how many people are watching. Yes, I'm not on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I'm not even on the internet. I'm not on the internet. This is OBS, which is doing this. All right, Maddox will pitch. Let's see, 2-3. That's a pitcher result. The 5 against a righty is going to be a base hit. That's a base hit, and that's going to be a single past second base, so Girardi leads off with a hit. Girardi having a good night. He's 3 for 3. Girardi having a good night. 3 for 3, so now the batter is Jeter. Infield a double play. Girardi, not really a stealing threat, but we roll. That's a 19. Now that is a bunt. Now the 19 came up a sacrifice hit for Jeter. So the 19 or 20, Jeter would try to bunt it. Let's do it. So we're gonna do a bunt. We're gonna hit. And what you do is you use the bunt chart that's on this. Bunting is simple. Basically, you roll the dice. You first got to see what happens. You do roll the dice and you follow the rules on the bunt chart. The bunt chart and the squeeze bunt chart are the only charts in Inside Pitch Advance that resolve the play. Everything else is done by dice. The dice decide whether hit and run or the runner moves, gets a run here. Okay. How am I watching chat? Because OBS does have the YouTube chat up. So I do see the YouTube chat up. I'm not, in other words, I am on the internet, but I'm not on the browser. I'm not using a browser. So I'm not using, so yes, OBS is forwarding the chat lines. Another thing is, I think you guys are behind. I'm not sure. Because when I check YouTube, I think you guys might be behind a few seconds or something. When I was doing it on YouTube, it was pretty much instantaneous. I think OBS has a few second delay. I'm not sure about that, but I think it does have a few second delay. So, but then again, that's okay. I can live with it. The reason why I'm doing it on OBS is so you guys can see this in 4K. So you can see this as clearly as possible. That's another reason why I had to go to a new PC, because Windows 10, you cannot do 4K. Windows 11, you can. You can watch in 4K, you cannot stream in 4K on Windows 10. So we got a runner at first, strategy roll, and nothing happening on the 4. Maddox will pitch. Oh, we were going to do a bunt. I'm sorry. We were going to do a bunt. So Derek Jeter's going to bunt. So Greg Maddox, we still roll to see what happens. And that's a 5-3. A 5-3 says that's an @ sign. That's at the park. But on a bunt, we ignore that. We go right to the bunt chart. And we roll 2 dice. We roll the die where it was hit to and what happens. Derek Jeter's bunt rating is a 4. The infield, I'm going to say the infield's a double play def. They're not expecting a bunt, so there's not going to be any adjustment to the bunt rating. Hi, Craig. So we rolled to see where it went. That is a 4, and the 4 was hit to first base. So we know the bunt was bunted down to McGriff. We then roll a 2, and that's going to be a bunt. That's going to be a good bunt. On a 1-16 would have been a successful sacrifice bunt. So that's going to be a good bunt. So Girardi goes to second. Jeter is out. 1 down on a good bunt by Jeter. And there's a runner in scoring position. So sacrifice hit to first. Yeah, that took about 5 or 6 or 7 seconds before you heard it. So there is definitely a delay using OBS because you're not going through the browser. The browser is pretty much instantaneous. I do know that if I play it on this, it's going to be a few seconds before you guys actually see something or say something. I think I can live with it. If you guys really have an issue with that, I can go back to broadcasting on YouTube straight, okay? And I can broadcast on Twitch if I want. I don't know if I want to go on Twitch. I've heard a lot of strange things about streaming on Twitch. I don't know if I want to throw myself on Twitch. I don't know. I prefer YouTube. At least everybody knows how to use that. Doug Hunt joins us here at Yankee Stadium. Yeah, sorry you're late. Yeah, that's great, Doug. My demo game. No, I don't roll any baseball for 2 months and I don't roll any baseball for 2 months and you're late. Thanks a lot, Doug. All right, so Joe Girardi is at second base on a good bunt. The batter is Boggs. Infield is back. Strategy roll and nothing on the 18. Actually, Boggs does get a hit and run up here, but you're not hitting and running with a runner on second. Maddox, 2-2. That is a wild pitch. That's a 10, and that's a wild pitch. Girardi will move to third. So a wild pitch by Maddox. Now the infield's got to come in. So re-roll the strat. Nothing on the 3. Yeah, I know. Doug Hunt has to work on his priorities. Definitely has to work on his priorities. My number one fan, pretty much. Doug Hunt, who's been with me from the start. Steeler fan, another one from the start. My number one fan, Doug, and he misses my demo game after 2 months. Yeah. Doug, gotta get those priorities straight, bro. Really do. All right, so the infield's going to be in, and there is one out. So strategy roll, nothing on the 12. Maddox is not tired. He will be tired after Boggs, though. Maddox will pitch. That is a 7-1. That's a blank. Boggs will swing. And that is a 5-4. And that's a power check. Now, I call it a power check. It's a question mark 8. This is what I call a power check. A power hit, all right, to center field. We then check this chart here. So it's a power hit to center field. We'll check the D20. That is a 9. Against the righty, Boggs here, that 9, a 1-3 is single, a 4 is a double, and a 5-12 is a triple. That's a 9. Boggs just tripled in Joe Girardi, and the Yankees have just taken the lead. Stadium cheers. Yay! 2-1 as Wade Boggs will bring in Joe Girardi on an RBI triple. Sorry, it's been a rough week. Deathly sick all week. Okay. If you've been deathly sick, all right, fine, I'll let it go. And you're not allowed to die. By the way, Doug, you're not allowed to die on me. You're not allowed to die on me, Doug. Doug, if you happen to die, you better still be showing up in my chat, bro. Death is not an excuse. We all got to do it. I don't want to hear it. Not an excuse. If you die, anyone dies, you better be in my chat the next game. Death is not an excuse. We all got to do it. All right, so what we got here? So it's 2-1 Yankees. Boggs has got a triple. Williams is the batter. Maddox is tired. That's going to be it for him. So that's going to be it for Maddox. He's going to leave, and he's going to leave with the L. Pettit actually left with the no decision. As Lloyd right now has the W at this time. We'll bring a new pitcher for the Braves. So Williams switch left switch. And I'm going to bring in a righty for the Yanks. And we're going to go with, actually, mighty for the Braves, I should say. And we are still in the middle innings. And we'll go with Greg McMichael. Greg McMichael, he can pitch to 5. So Greg McMichael will now be the pitcher. We're going to stay infield end still. But now 2-1 Yankees here in the bottom of the 7th. You're dying right now. I will haunt you too, Robert. Hey, that's okay. I got ghosts here somewhere around here. I got ghosts. Ghosts don't bother me, though. Ghosts are afraid of me. Hey, like I said, I went to my boss. I said, hey, boss. I went to my boss. I said, boss, there may be a nuclear war coming up. I said, yeah, but you're coming in tomorrow, right? If there's a nuclear war, you're still coming into work tomorrow, right? Runner in third, bottom of 7, 2-1 Yankees. Strategy roll, nothing on the 4. McMichael will pitch. 3-7, strikeout. That 20 is too high. Williams will swing. 1-6, and that's a fly ball to center field. Now, it's a possible sacrifice fly. So, Williams, it's a fly out to center. Wade Boggs is on third. We now check the chart. For the first time, we're actually going to walk. We're actually going to roll on one of these charts here. We have to check the fly out advance chart. Check out a fly out advance chart. All right. Now, the first thing we got to do, however, to see if it's an automatic sacrifice fly. Now, what I did is I picked up the D20 a little too quick. Bernie Williams has a sacrifice fly rating of 17. A 17 or lower, he will bring in Boggs. He does. That's a 5, and that's good enough. Which usually means that Bernie Williams got a lot of sacrifice flies. So there are now 2 outs, but it is now 3-1 Yankees here in the bottom of 7th on a sacrifice fly. So now 2 down. And now the batter is O'Neill. Maybe second. You get better there, Doug. I miss you. I'm glad you're here anyway. I'm glad you're here, my bro. I'm glad all you guys are here for this demo game. Regular season starts next Monday night. White Sox and Mariners at the Kingdome. It'll be Alex Fernandez against the big unit. McMichael will pitch. McMichael, a 8-5, and that's an automatic. He's not tired. That's going to be an automatic out, and it's going to be a ground ball to first, and that will end the inning. So 2 runs on 1 hit, a bunt, and a sacrifice fly. 3-1 Yankees after 7. We'll be in the RJL's inside pitch infirmary section. They will wheel us all here to see you, Robert. Don't worry. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will wheel you all here. I'm sure they will. We go to the top of the 8th. Graham Lloyd. He could pitch to 2 more batters. He'll stay out there. They'll stay out there, I think. Who leads off? McGriff leads off for the Braves. They got 3 straight lefties coming up, so Lloyd will stay out. So 3-1 Yankees, top of the 8th in this demo game. Lloyd, 6-7, error on a booted ball. McGriff, 8-8, and that's an automatic out, and that's a ground ball to first. First baseman, that's it to first. Martinez's error rating is a 3. That is a 1. He boots it. Tino Martinez did not make many errors, but he boots that one, and McGriff is safe. That is an E3. That is the first error on the Yankees in this game. An error rating of 3, and I roll a 1. Okay. So McGriff is on first, and now the batter is Klesko. Graham Lloyd looks at Tino Martinez and said, hey, I understand this is an exhibition game, but I would still like to see if you guys can play some baseball here. Strategy rolls are still on. Strategy rolls are usually anything higher than anything 11 or higher. The difference between the score and the inning is how you roll a strategy roll. If anything higher than that, you don't have to run it. Some people still do, though. So nothing happening. So Lloyd will pitch. Lloyd, 5-8. That is a blank. Klesko, 4-7. And that's a line drive to second base. That's a 17. And I don't think that's going to be... That's not going to be a double play. That's going to be out number 1. Lines out to second, but McGriff will get back, and that is the first out. Here's Justice. Lloyd is now tired. We're going to let him pitch. Since he's got a lefty on the mound, they're going to let him pitch to Justice. Now, because Lloyd is tired, that means any parentheses that comes up here will now take effect. And my rule is, if you hit a parentheses when the pitcher is tired, I automatically yank him. That is an optional rule. I do like the rule. Oh, I understand. I remember I got the best chat, you know. I got the best chat. This chat here always beats the chat on that channel with the fluffy cat. I just can't beat the fluffy cat. Lloyd, let's see. Strategy roll, nothing on the 9. Lloyd, a 8-6. That is a walk. That's a walk. That's a 1, and he walked him. So Lloyd goes ahead and walks Justice. Now runners at first and second, 1 out, and that'll be it for Lloyd. So Lloyd coming out of the game, and now they got Lopez, Dye, and Blauser, and we're going to see a righty coming in here for the Yanks. We're in the 8th inning, so now we'll go to the late innings here, and we're going to go with, let's see. We're going to go with John Wetland. John Wetland really was the main closer for the Yankees in '96, not Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera was just coming into his zone. John Wetland was really the main closer for the Yankees in '96. So we're going to go with John Wetland. He can pitch to 6 batters before he tires. And he'll pitch to Lopez here. So 1 out. Infield is at double play. So let's see. So runners at first and second. Can the Braves make a play here? Strategy roll. Nothing on the 11. Wetland. 5-4. Wild pitch. 11. Yep, that's a wild one. And that is going to be a wild pitch, and the runners will move up. So Wetland goes ahead and uncorks a wild one. Now runners at second and third. Now the infield is going to play in. 3-1 Yankees here, top of the 8th. Reroll the strat. Nothing on the 10. Wetland, 6-4. And he's not tired. That's an auto out, and that's a 15. And that's going to be a ground ball to short. That's a ground ball to short. The infield is in. So I got to re-roll the strat to see. So it's a ground ball to short. McGriff is a slow runner, so I subtract 2. So ground ball to short, that's a 12. 12 minus 2 is a 10. And the runner on third is held, but the batter is safe. They hold the runner at third, but the batter is actually safe on a fielder's choice. On that play, only on a 10. So the runner on third is holds, and the batter says FC, but it's in green. So that's a fielder's choice. Or is he out? So that's green. So Lopez is actually safe. But the runners hold. And that's a fielder's choice. But the bases are loaded here for Jermaine Dye. So bases loaded for Jermaine Dye. 1 out. The infield is now going to play a double play death. Jermaine Dye has a 7+. He hits into a lot of them. So now they're going to try to turn 2 here in the top of the 8th. Strategy roll, nothing on the 12. Wetland will pitch. Wetland, 6-1. Range play 10. That's a 9. That's a range play. Dye, 7-5. And there are no runners in scoring. There are runners in scoring position. So now it's an automatic out, but it's a range play. So it's a range play. It's an automatic out to 1. That's a range play to center field. Center fielder is Williams. A 1-3, he is a 1, 2, 3, or 8, he is out. That's a 7. That's going to be a base hit. Now, the thing about him now on a failed range play with 1 out, okay, it's going to be, now you check to see if it's a single or a double on a failed range play. Now, John Wetland's range play doubles a 1-3. Now, also remember, with less than 2 outs, Singles, you only move the base runners one base, doubles 2 bases. If there's 2 outs or more, it's an automatic 2-base advance for singles and a 3-base advance for a double, because it's a possible thing he may make the play. A 1-3, this is a double. Nope, it's going to be a base hit. So it's going to be a 1-base single for Jermaine Dye. So Fred McGriff is going to score. Justice, Lopez, and Dye will get their bases. And it's now 3-2. So here come the Braves. So an RBI single for Jermaine Dye, as Bernie Williams couldn't make the play. Bases are still loaded. And the batter now is Blauser. Is John Wetland gonna blow this? Is John Wetland gonna blow this? 3-2 now, top of the 8th. Strategy roll still active. That is a 3, nothing happening. Wetland, infield is still gonna play a double play depth. Wetland, 5-1. That's an automatic out. That is a 1, and that's gonna be a fly ball to center field. Be a fly ball to center field. That's 2 outs. That's 2 outs. Blauser's sacrifice fly rating is a 5. We did have to use the 1 in order for that, and we did have to use the 1 in order for that to be used. We got to see. So a 1-5, we got a tie game. We don't. Now we see if David Justice comes in on his own. So now 2 outs. And let's see what happens on a fly-out advance. And 3-1, he will score. Justice will come in to score. That is a 3. Lopez will stay at second base. And we got a tie game. And John Wetland blows the save. What's this about haunting people? Jeff Blauser goes ahead and goes ahead and gets a sacrifice fly, and we're tied at 3 in the top of the 8th. So now, Pettit. So Lloyd loses his win and all that stuff as John Wetland blows it. There are now 2 outs, though, and the batter now is Grissom. So tied at 3, top of the 8th inning, tied at 3. Braves, Yankees here in this demo game. Strategy roll, nothing on the 5. Wetland, 7-8. Against a righty, that is going to be an automatic out, and it'll be a fly out to center field. As Grissom will go ahead and fly out to center, and that'll do it. 2 runs on 1 hit, 1 error, 1 wild pitch, 1 walk, and a sacrifice fly. We go to the bottom of the 8th. In this demo game. Greg McMichael can pitch to 3 more batters before he tires. Leading off for the Yankees is going to be Ruben Sierra. And McMichael's going to stay out there. He'll pitch. Sierra's 0 for 3 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Tied at 3 in this little demo game we got going on. McMichael, 6-2. Error, foul, grounder at the park. Yankees Stadium, 1-1. That is a ground ball. It's a ground ball to first. That ball is hit to McGriff. His error rating is a 7. That's a 7, and he is gonna make an error. Now that's a little special error on a grounder because it's a boot ball, and it's a possibility the base runner can take an extra base. So that's going to be an error on McGriff. That's going to be an E3. That's going to be the second error on the Braves in this game, and the second error on McGriff. Now the question is, does Ruben Sierra take second? So what you do here, grounder booted, roll 1d8 any base runner, including batter. If his base running rating is greater than or equal to the roll, goes 2 bases, otherwise only 1 base advance. Sierra has a base running rating of 4. That's an 8. Sierra will stay where he is. So it's a 1 base error, but that's a big error. That's a second error on the Braves here. So the go-ahead run is on first base. And McMichael looking at Fred McGriff and saying, you really think, the way you're playing here, and you think you're a Hall of Famer? Here's Tino Martinez. Sierra on it first. McMichael staying out there. Strategy roll, that's a 7. Sierra stays put. McMichael, 3-1. Strikeout, 11. Too high. Martinez, an 8-4. And that's a fly out to right. So 1 down. And here's Tim Raines. I'm not going to replace any batters. I'm going to leave the batters as they are. Pitchers I'll change. But batters I'm going to leave in there. It's exhibition. So Sierra will go ahead and stay on where he is. Strategy roll, nothing on the 3. McMichael, a 7-3 strikeout. 14 is going to be too high. Raines, a 1-4, and that's a split chance. Against a righty, it's a double to center field. Against a lefty, it's a fly out. McMichael's a righty. That's a double to center. Will that score Sierra? So we go to the chart. A double to center. Does it score? That is a 5-2 and holds at the arm rating as a 2-7. Center fielder is Grissom. His arm rating is a 7. Sierra will hold a 3rd. But Raines does get a double, and the go-ahead run is now at 3rd base. So a double for Raines. Now the batter is Duncan. McMichael is tired. They're going to yank him. They're going to go with another righty instead for the Braves. And I think they're going to go with... They're going to go with Mark Wohlers. We'll bring him out. Mark Wohlers really was the closer for the Braves in '96. So Mark Wohlers will now pitch for Atlanta. Infield is in, and there is 1 out here for the Yankees in the bottom of the 8th. Strategy roll, nothing on the 6. Wohlers will pitch. And Wohlers can pitch to 6 batters, by the way. Wohlers, 1-1, strikeout plus, 19, got him. He gets Duncan. Duncan becomes a 22, -1 of 21, and he got him. He got Duncan. And that's out number 2. And now here's Girardi. Girardi's had an awesome game. He's 3 for 3, 3 singles. So can Girardi put the Yankees ahead? Nothing on the strat. Wohlers will pitch. Wohlers, 5-4. Range play at the park. Yankee Stadium, 5-1. That's a ground ball to 3rd. That ball is at the Chipper. Chipper's range is a 4, and he will get it. Chipper will go ahead and pick that up. Throws to first, and that ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit and an error. Tied at 8, tied at 3. We go to the 9th. If we go to extra innings, I will automatically use Ghost Runners. This is an exhibition game. This is not a regular season game. Now, of course, my rule for Ghost Runners is during the regular season, the 10th inning does not use Ghost Runners. The 11th inning and higher does. I can't be playing 18-inning games on a school night. So I do use Ghost Runners during the regular season. During the postseason, of course, I do not use them. So we go to the 9th, tied at 3. And the Braves have Lemke, Jones, and McGriff coming up. Wetland is tired. He's done for the Yanks. We'll bring in a new pitcher. And we're going to go with... Jeff Nelson. Jeff Nelson will come on to pitch. And he'll go up against... We'll go up against Lemke here. Although Lemke does hit righties a little better. But Jeff Nelson will go with him. So Jeff Nelson will pitch here, starting on top of the 9th. Nelson can pitch to 5 batters. So Nelson against Lemke, top of the 9th. Nelson, 6-1. That's a pitcher result. That's a 6 against the switch left. That's going to be a base hit. That's going to be a single. It'll be a base hit to center field. So Lemke starts off with a hit. So the Braves are the tying man on. Or the go-ahead runner, I should say. And here's Chipper. Chipper is 2 for 4, a single and a double. Strategy roll. Lemke does have 5 steals. He's not going. Nelson, 1-8. Range play at the park. Yankee Stadium, 3-1. And that's an automatic out. It's going to be a ground ball to short. That's a range play for Jeter. His range is a 3. And that's a 4. It'll get past him. It'll be a base hit. Single pass short. Lemke does not have the speed. He'll hold at second base. So Chipper gets a hit. So now runners at first and second. No one out. So Jeff Nelson coming into the game and can't get anyone out. And now the batter is the crime dog. Ken McGriff redeem himself for the 2 errors. He is 0 for 3, although he did reach on an error the last time. Strategy roll, nothing on the 10. Nelson will pitch. Nelson, 2-6. That's a base hit. Straight up hit off of Nelson's card. That's a 1. It's going to be a base hit to right field. Will that score Lemke? Single to right. 6-3. Hold if the arm rating is 3-7. Right fielder arm for the Yankees is O'Neill. His arm rating is a 5. He will hold. The bases are loaded. So Jeff Nelson comes in, and he gives up 3 straight hits. The batter is Klesko, and that's it for Nelson. They're yanking him. He is not doing the job. The Braves are going to go back to they're going to bring they got a lefty coming in. So the Yankees are probably going to bring on a left-handed pitcher here. And they're going to go with, no, they're not going to go with him. Their lefties in the bullpen are, yuck. Yankee lefties in the bullpen are not good. How did this team win the World Series? We're going to go with Dale Pauly. 7.89 ERA. Are you kidding me? Dale Pauly is going to come in to pitch. Dale Pauly's going to come in to pitch. Okay, fine. How did this Yankee team win the World Series in '96? Bases are loaded. The infield's got to play in. No one out. Pauly will pitch to Klesko. I'm not going to switch batters. I'll switch pitchers, though. Pauly can pitch to 4. As Nelson was garbage. So let's see what happens. So nobody out. Top of the 9th inning. 9th inning magic. Strategy roll. Nothing happening. Pauly. 5-1. Walk. 9. And no. Just missed. Klesko is an 8. -1 makes him a 7. The 9 is too high. Klesko will swing, though. 6-5. And that's a power hit to left field. That's a 17. And against the lefty, it is going to stay in the park. Going to stay in there. Against the lefty, that's a 17. That's going to be a fly out to left. Since I had to use the 17, sacrifice fly rating of Klesko is a 10. That's a 14. It doesn't bring in Lemke. Lemke will have to try to do it on his own. So does Lemke score on his own? 4-3 and advances if he's 4-7? No. Lemke holds. 1 out. 1 down. Now the batter is Justice. There's 1 out now. Could not bring in a run. Pauly will pitch. Strategy roll. Nothing on the 20. Pauly deals. Pauly 8-8. Error foul grounder at the park. Yankee Stadium. 4-5. That is a ground ball. It's a ground ball to second base. That ball is at the Duncan. His error rating is a 7. That's a 5. Duncan's going to go ahead and boot that. That is an error foul grounder at the park. That's going to be booted. That'll bring in at least 1 run. And he does boot that. And actually, grounder booted. All runners advance 1 base. And the Braves have taken the lead. Duncan boots the ball, and the Braves take a 4-3 lead. Stadium groans. Another error as the second error on the Yankees. And that'll bring in the run. And that's an E4. And now the batter is Lopez. That run is not charged to Pauly. Lopez is 0 for 3, still 1 out. But now 4-3 Braves. Lopez 0 for 4. Strategy roll still, nothing on the 17. Pauly will pitch. 3-5, strikeout, 13 is high. Lopez, 7-6, and that's a ground ball to second. That's a 20, and that's going to be a double play. Lopez's double play rating's a 10, even though we said the infield was in, so it's not a double play. My bad. That is an infield in. My bad. So the infield is in. That's not an automatic double play, but that is a 20. So we got to check the chart. It's still a demo game. Let's play it right. So it is a 20, okay, but the infield is in. Normally that would be an automatic double play, but we got to check the chart here because we did say the infield was in. And 7-6, that is a ground ball to second base. So we use the 20 because that's going to tell us what happens with the chart. Okay. So let's hit the second. Jones is pretty quick. That's a 6. Okay. So a 6 adds 2. So you can't go any higher than a 20. So it is so the 20 is as high as it can go. The bases are loaded though. So we check this right here. It was hit. 17. It was hit to second. So we use this, a 20 with the bases loaded. The runner on third scores, but the batter is out. The batter is out. So the runner on third scores, but the batter is out. So it's 5-3. So Jones comes in. McGriff goes to third. Justice goes to second. Lopez is out. 2 down. They do get the out, but the run does come in on the chart. So now it's 5-3 Braves with 2 outs now. And that actually goes as a fielder's choice. A grounder to second. The runners move up. And now the batter is Dye. So Jermaine Dye is 2 for 4 with 2 singles. Strength of his starters, that's why. That's got to be it. Strength of their starters. So McGriff on his third, Justice on his second, now 5-3 Braves. Strategy rolls are now off. Pauly, 7-5. Wild pitch. No, not a wild pitch, but a possible pass ball. He has no wild pitches, but a 1-16, a possible pass ball. Pass ball rating of Girardi is a 5. So a 1-5, this is another run. And it is. So a pass ball off of Girardi will score McGriff. Justice goes to third. And now it is 6-3 as the Yankees are imploding here in the top of the 9th. Stadium barfs. Yeah. So there's your pass ball. So now 3 runs in here in the top of the 9th inning. And now the Yankees are figuring we're just going to try to finish this game out. So Dale Pauly will continue to pitch. But now it's 6-3 in favor of the Braves. Strategy rolls are off. Pauly, 1-2, strikeout 12. That'll be too high. Dye. And that's an 8-5. And that's a line. The infield is back. That's a line drive right to third, and that will end the inning. 3 runs on 3 hits, 1 error, 1 pass ball. The Braves now have a 6-3 lead. But now will we see some bottom of the ninth inning magic? Mark Wohlers, he can still pitch to 4 more batters. He will stay out there. Derek Jeter leads off for the Yanks in the bottom of the ninth. In this demo game, Jeter is 1 for 3, singled, stole a base, and got a sacrifice hit. And right now, Wohlers is a chance to get the win, since Maddox is off the hook. Wohlers with the pitch. 8-3. Range play 10. That's a 9. Yes. Jeter, 3-8 against the righty. It's a ground ball to second base. Range play for Lemke. His range is a 6. He's got it. They'll take care of it. Throw it over to first. And that's 1 out. Here's Boggs. Boggs is 1 for 4. Singled and reached on an error. Wohlers, 5-1. That's a pitcher result. That's 6 against the lefty. It's going to be a base hit. That's going to be a single pass first. Boggs gets a hit to keep the inning going. So Boggs gets a hit. Next batter is Bernie. Bernie is 0 for 4. He does have a sacrifice. Strategy rolls are off. Wohlers, 7-1. Error on a booted ball. Williams, 2-6. And that's a base hit to left field. That's a single to left. Possible error on a booted ball. Left fielder for the Braves is Klesko. His error rating is a 7. That's a 16. He won't hit. He won't make an error. Single to left field. Does Boggs take third? 2-8. He will hold. So Williams gets his first hit of the game now. Runners at first and second with 1 out. And now the batter is O'Neill. So Wohlers making it interesting here. 6-3 Braves with the tying runs at the plate. Wohlers will pitch. 1-3 against the lefty. Strikeout plus. He got O'Neill. Struck him out. O'Neill is 0 for 5 tonight. 2 down. Last chance for the Braves, for the Yankees, is Ruben Sierra. Wohlers is tired. They're going to let him pitch. Sierra does have some home run power, though, against righties. But they're going to let Wohlers try to get this final out. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, 6-3 Braves. Sierra is 0 for 4, but did reach on an error his last time up. Fans here at Yankee Stadium hoping for a big-time hit. 6-3 Braves, bottom of the ninth. Wohlers sets up. He will deal. 8-7. Strikeout plus 20. Believe it, 20. And no, that's going to miss because that's a 20. Sierra is a 10 against righties. -1 will make him a 9, but it will make him a 19 because the 20, Sierra gets the swing. And 3-3. And it's a ground ball to short. Getting over there is going to be Jet Blauser. Blauser will get it. He's got it. Pumps once. Pumps twice. Throws to second against Williams. That's your demo game. The Atlanta Braves will beat the Yankees in this little demo game tonight. 6-3. No runs, 2 hits for the Yanks. And the Braves go ahead and get the win in our 1996 Inside Pitch Advance demo game. Stadium groans. Final line score coming up. For the Braves, 6 runs on 12 hits and 2 errors. For the Yankees, 3 runs, 11 hits, 2 errors. The winning pitcher is Mark Wohlers. He's going to go ahead and pick up the win. The loss is going to go to Graham Lloyd because Dale Polley came in with the runs on base and no save. So that is your 1996 Inside Pitch demo game. Do you guys have any questions before I sign off? Any questions at all before I sign off? We've been at this for 2 hours and 35 minutes. I do know how long the stream's been lasting. So does anybody have any questions at all about Inside Pitch Advanced before I sign off? I'll go ahead and say no. Well, that's your demo game, guys. This, of course, is the demo game. This is the stream that officially opens up the 1996 replay. And you know what's funny about the 1996 replay and the 2026 season going on? Both All-Star games are held in Philadelphia. In 2026, this year, the All-Star game was held in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park. In 1996, the All-Star game was held in Philadelphia at Veterans Stadium. That's weird. That is the first time ever, I think, that I've done a season where the All-Star game is held at the same place in my replay as it is in real life. Although different stadium, same city. No 10-minute ticker, of course, tonight. That is the end of our demo game. Coming up next week, July 6th, 2026, it will be March 31st, 1996. It will be opening day of the 1996 season, Inside Pitch Advanced season. The Chicago White Sox taking on the Seattle Mariners from the Kingdome. It will be Alex Fernandez pitching for the White Sox, and the big unit, Randy Johnson, pitching for the Mariners. I think we do pretty well starting a new season with Randy Johnson on the mound. I don't think anybody here will have a problem with Randy Johnson starting a new season. I don't think anybody has a problem with the big unit. That will be at 8 o'clock next Monday night, July 6th, as we kick off the 1996 season here of Inside Pitch. Opening day, White Sox at Mariners. The return of 10-minute ticker. Be there or be square. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Please leave a like on your way out the turnstiles. Subscribe if you've not done so. Make sure you hit the bell. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay smart, stay strong. We'll see you guys next Monday night. The Atlanta Braves go ahead and beat the Yankees in a demo game 6-3. We'll see you guys next time for opening day 1996. It's time to start another one. We get right to it. Have a good night.